Tonight, at some point, you are going to lose consciousness. Not slowly, not gradually. In a single moment, the world will be there, and then it won't. You've done this thousands of times, and you have no memory of a single one, because the moment you fall asleep is the one moment of your life you are never awake to see. But science has been watching, and what it found changes everything you think sleep actually is. It starts before you even close your eyes. Right now, if you're tired, a chemical called adenosine is building up in your brain. It's a byproduct of thinking. Every decision, every conversation, every moment of focus produces it. Adenosine is basically a debt counter. The longer you stay awake, the more of it piles up. And as it builds, it binds to receptors across your brain and sends one message. Stop. This is why caffeine works, by the way. Caffeine doesn't give you energy. It just blocks the receptors that tell you you're exhausted. The debt is still there, accumulating quietly in the background. You just can't feel it anymore, which is its own kind of terrifying because the bill always comes due. The moment caffeine clears your system, every hour of tiredness you borrowed floods back in at once. At the same time, deep in the center of your brain, a structure the size of a pea called the pineal gland has been reading the light. As the sky darkens, it starts releasing melatonin into your bloodstream. Not to make you sleep, to warn you it's coming. It's a countdown signal. Your core body temperature begins to drop. Your heart rate slows. The muscles in your face go soft. Even your eyes start drifting slightly downward without you noticing. Your body is preparing to do something it has done every night of your life, and you still have no real idea what that something is. Here's where it gets strange. The moment you fall asleep, your brain doesn't go quiet. It goes somewhere else. In the first stage of sleep, your brain produces what are called theta waves, slow, rolling electrical pulses that are completely different from anything your waking brain generates. And in this state, something happens that almost nobody talks about. You start hallucinating, not in some vague, dreamy way. Actually hallucinating. You see faces that don't exist. You hear your name being called. You feel like you're floating, or falling, or standing in a room you've never been in. Some people see geometric patterns spreading across their vision. Some hear music that isn't playing. Some feel a hand on their shoulder in an empty room. Psychologists call these hypnagogic hallucinations, and they happen to almost everyone, almost every night. Nobody remembers them because you tip into sleep within seconds and the whole thing evaporates. But sometimes the tipping gets interrupted. Sometimes your brain has almost let go, and then something misfires. You jerk awake, whole body, all at once, in a sudden spasm that snaps you back into consciousness, with your heart pounding for no reason you can name. A hypnic jerk. The leading theory for why it happens is this. As your muscles relax toward sleep, your brain misreads the signal. It interprets the sudden loss of muscle tone as your body falling, so it fires an emergency command. Catch yourself. Your body jolts back to life, responding to a fall that never happened. Most people spend years thinking something is wrong with them when this happens. Nothing is. Your brain just briefly decided you were dying and tried to save you. If you make it past the jerk, something happens that was only discovered in 2013 and that most people still don't know about. A neuroscientist named Micah Nedergaard at the University of Rochester found a system in the brain that nobody had ever seen before. She called it the glymphatic system, and what it does is almost hard to believe. While you're awake, your brain produces toxic waste, proteins and metabolic byproducts that build up between your cells throughout the day. One of them is called beta amyloid, the same protein that accumulates in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Every single day, your brain produces it, and every single night, while you sleep, your brain physically shrinks, cells contracting by up to 60%, and cerebrospinal fluid rushes through the gaps like a power wash, flushing all of it out into your bloodstream to be filtered by your liver. This only happens when you're unconscious. It can't run properly while you're awake. Nedergaard put it simply. The brain is like a kitchen. You can cook or you can clean, but you cannot do both at once. Every hour of sleep you've ever skipped is an hour your brain spent soaking in its own waste. Around 45 minutes in, you go deeper, slow-wave sleep, the stage that's almost impossible to wake from. And here, your brain starts doing something that looks, from the outside, like nothing. It's deciding what to keep. Every experience from your day, Every face, every conversation, every small thing you noticed without knowing you noticed it has been held temporarily in your hippocampus, waiting. Now your brain begins moving those experiences into long-term storage, strengthening the connections that matter, quietly deleting the ones that don't. Skills you practiced that day get consolidated. Emotions attached to memories get filed separately from the facts, which is why you can remember what happened without always remembering how it felt. What you will remember tomorrow is being chosen right now, while you think you are doing nothing. Matthew Walker, a sleep researcher at UC Berkeley, spent decades documenting this. One of his findings stops people cold. A single night of poor sleep reduces your ability to form new memories the next day by around 40%. Not 10, 40. The sleep you lost last week didn't just make you tired. It made you a measurably different person the next morning. And then, about 90 minutes after you first went under, the strangest thing of all begins: REM sleep. During REM, your brain is more active than when you are wide awake. Not slightly, significantly, weirdly more active. Your visual cortex is firing. Your emotional centers are flooding. Your motor cortex is generating movement signals. But there's a switch deep in your brain stem that cuts the connection to your muscles entirely. You are paralyzed on purpose, so you can't act out what you're experiencing. And what you're experiencing is more vivid than most of your waking life. Fear, joy, grief, love, people you know and people you've never met, places you've been and places that don't exist. Entire conversations happening in real time that your brain is simultaneously writing, performing, and experiencing as though it had no idea what was coming next. You are the author and the audience at the same time, and you cannot tell the difference. And your body is lying completely still, face blank, giving nothing away. Sometimes the switch is slow to lift. You open your eyes, you can see your room, but you cannot move, cannot speak. Your body won't respond. For anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, you are fully awake and completely trapped inside yourself. Sleep paralysis. It has been reported across every culture in recorded history. It's why medieval Europeans believed in demons that held people down in the night. Why the Japanese have a specific word for the spirit that sits on your chest. Why cultures that never had contact with each other independently invented the same story of something pinning you down in the dark, because for thousands of years, that was the only explanation that made sense for something that felt impossible to explain. All of it, a brainstem switch running a few seconds behind. You do this every night, 4 or 5 full cycles, 90 minutes each. And when the alarm goes off and you open your eyes, you remember almost none of it. Not because nothing happened, but because your brain during REM actively suppresses the memory system. The experiences dissolve before you can catch them, which means for roughly 2 hours every single night, you are somewhere else entirely. Seeing, feeling, living something. And then you come back with nothing to show for it except a vague sense that something happened that mattered. You are going to spend around 26 years of your life in this state. 26 years where your brain shrinks and flushes itself clean, where your memories are sorted and filed, where you are paralyzed and hallucinating and more electrically active than at any point in your waking day. 26 years. And every morning you wake up, stare at the ceiling, and call it rest.